Then and now, we got the crown when we rock the town. Hot sound, keep us breaking ground while we chillin' lounge. 3 generations, black nerd soldiers, podcast snipers trying to pop culture. Allegedly, haters try to talk, but a pedigree in rare form.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Then and Now podcast. I'm your co-host, Captain Diesel, and I am joined with my illustrious co-host, Lelouch V, Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy. How are y'all doing, my brothers?
Good. Not too bad.
Yeah, guys. Today is going to be a dope show. It's going to be a dope show. We're going to have kind of a 3-topic type of thing. But we're going to start off with a little dipping our toe in the water and kind of discussing the concept of anime adaptations or just animated adaptations from either literary work or live action work, whatever you want to adapt it from. But you're starting to see that as a running trend now in a lot of media. Terminator Zero was a more recent one that we're going to be discussing today. But we've seen that a lot. What do you guys, well, we kind of already know in regards to why animation is being so highly focused on right now. But what do you guys think the studios or just anyone investing in this is seeing right now in regards to funding all of these adaptations from other mediums into animation?
Yeah, I mean, with that, I just believe that right now in pop culture, animation is what's really capturing the attention of majority of people. Like anime fans are at the biggest they've ever been, and with that space being more open to various ideas, essentially. I mean, it's an easy medium to translate over other things in. I mean, you can go from a grounded story to a super high fantasy sci-fi story in animation, and it's no real loss of quality there. You can really kind of make any escape that you want, as opposed to live action where you are a little bit limited, unless you have an absurdly gigantic budget. Not to say that animation is cheap, because it's not. High quality animation is expensive, but it's a medium that continues to gain more interest. So it's just a space to get into.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what the biggest thing is, that it's the main anime, especially. Anime is a huge industry now. Like, I mean, essentially since 2020, when we had the big, huge, obviously, the epidemic, and people were kind of flocking to find some kind of entertainment source, it's only grown more and more exponentially. Obviously, if you go to anime, there's anime conventions. If you go to any kind of a Comic-Con or other kind of convention, essentially, you see fans going crazy for the type of stuff. The audience is definitely there. And obviously, the certain streaming services like Amazon and Netflix are cashing in. HBO, they're all cashing in on that by having their own service. There's even on HBO now, there's like Rick and Morty, the anime, which is on there too. So I mean, there's they are very much like trying to double down on that, specifically on the anime medium, so to speak. So we have Terminator Zero, as Charlie brought up before. That's very much Terminator done in an anime fashion. You have something like Lara Croft or Tomb Raider coming up pretty soon, which is like it's done by the same studio that did Castlevania. So it's very much done in an anime fashion. Castlevania itself is a video game adapted in anime fashion. It's kind of like it's the go-to way as far as like trying to bring something to life.
Yeah, and I've noticed in particular too. Mostly, it was a thought that I had when I went to go see Beetlejuice, and I saw the trailer for the new Lord of the Rings series that I mentioned to you guys. Animation just has a certain level of creative ability that I don't think any other medium has. I had never been more excited to see anything Lord of the Rings related than watching that trailer. And I'm not a huge fan of the franchise, and I love the Shadow of Mordor video games and all that good stuff. But like seeing the way that thing was animated and the atmosphere and the pure aura it had, I was like, yeah, bro, I got to see this. And you going on right now in regards to a lot of the popular, especially on the nerd side of things, with things like Invincible popping off, and it's rivaling stuff that's getting really big budgets in The Boys or other stuff like that that's live action. And I think that's also inherently another part of the thing too, is the fact that it's significantly cheaper and there's not as many red tape. At least from my perspective, if there's anybody that knows more, if I'm incorrect, you guys stop me, but there's not as many pieces of red tape you have to go through to get a film or a series completed animated wise versus live action, as far as like booking locations, makeup, all that good stuff. I feel like you can cut a lot of that budget out. Granted, I don't know how much more of a budget it is versus just the pure animation side of things or the storyboarding and all the other stuff. But at least from my perspective, it seems like animation is just a more lucrative way to go down, especially from a big company, and as well from a viewer aspect of it. I feel like what I would imagine in my mind as far as creativity wise, I have a higher chance of seeing that done more accurately or more closer to what I would imagine in animation versus live action. Like if I'm imagining like a Dragon Ball series, like, okay, I'd like Goku to sidestep, do roundhouse kick into space, and come back to Earth in like a split second. I can see that in animation, but in the live action, it's like, how do we make this work?
Animation, I can see Otis wanting to say it right now. I can see Otis wanting to say it right now too. Animation costs a lot of money for everything you do. So, for example, the sidestep you had is that old famous Dragon Ball Super Broly teaser where you see Goku kind of like flexing and jumping on the snow. That cost out of how much money? It took a lot of time, and it's just Goku like warming himself up for a fight. It lasts a whole like minute long. Got everyone hyped for the movie was coming out. Just like back in 2018, I believe it was. But that wasn't cheap because you have to animate all of that stuff, and that costs a lot of time and money from animators to colorists to all those things. A lot of time. So it's I see what you're saying as far as you don't have to go scouting locations, or you don't have to go doing certain things, but animation in itself is not cheap. We all know the drama, the overwhelming drama of Mappa. We love ourselves some JJK or Chainsaw Man, whatever it might be, or Hell's Paradise, all these things that Mappa's brought to life, the last season of Attack on Titan. But those people, if they break down the pay for what these guys get, they get like $20 a week. It's something insane that they get paid nothing. You only get into anime, especially if you are overwhelmingly in love with the medium and the art form. So they in some senses, they don't have that. Studios do not pay their staff as much, but it's because they're getting paid way below what they should get paid. It's still a very, very time intensive process. It's still a process that requires a lot of skill and effort. It is a different way than it is for a live action. So,
Right. And that's no way like denouncing the difficulty of it. I'm curious, like, because I'm looking at the cost of like a red camera, for instance, and how expensive that is to use, and then paying editors, like we said before, like reserving set locations, costume design. I don't know for sure, but I'd be very curious to like look at some numbers with films to see like if I'm looking at a film like what's a big expensive film, like a James Cameron Avatar film, right, and how much it costs to make something like that versus a
Demon Slayer Mugen Train.
Recent, like the new season of Demon Slayer. Yeah, they're both difficult and very expensive, but I'd be interested to know the differences in payment there. And obviously, like you're gonna have more of a staff to pay because you just have more people working on it in live action versus this animation studio.
Well, I mean, with like Demon Slayer specifically, I mean that animation is close to $100,000 per episode. I mean, of course, Avatar costs more because actually those movies like a couple $100 million to do by the end, but costly either way. It's just like with animation, if you have a talented group of animators, you can replicate a similar level of process a lot easier than it is when you're trying to do that on location with a film crew and a set. And also just the fact that I think another reason why animation is just being blitzed the way it is that characters and merchandise from animation go better on merchandise than it is you'll ever get with live action, right? Like,
True.
I mean, you put now, of course, you can put. Well, actually, it's even more red tape to try to put like Tony Stark's face on a T-shirt in the MCU versus Keanu, the upcoming series for
Would it though?
Cartoon Network.
At least for Disney, I know like Disney, they own the licensing rights to anybody. Like I think that's part of the contract.
Sometimes, because you started pay, you got to pay to act. That's a whole drama. Remember the Avengers video game? How none of them looked like any of the stars. Looked kind of similar to them, but none of them actually looked like them because they didn't have the likeness to anything.
Right.
And they couldn't sound too much like them either, because you got to pay all those likenesses specifically off. When it comes to something like The Simpsons, it's been on forever. They obviously clearly have the exact lookalikes. They can make them look exactly the same way. Make them sound the same way. They have the voice actors come in to do their roles and certain things. So actually having the real life actors is this different type of thing. Real quick spoilers for Aliens Romulus. There is a character or an actor who was brought back their likeness was brought back for that, right? And
Oh,
the thing about it is, the thing about it is, they didn't exactly have the licensing for his likeness. However, they didn't not have it either, so therefore they were allowed to use it. This person's been gone has left us for a while, so they were allowed to bring it back. Therefore, they didn't have to really pay too much to the estate for it. So if you have something like that, you can get around it, but otherwise, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to even use a person's likeness for anything.
I wonder what that's like. That's part of the reason why like stuff like trademarking or licensing is kind of like eerie to me, because in regards to like something like that, to where if a company similar with the Carrie, I almost say Carrie Ann Fisher.
Oh, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher.
Oh my God.
I mean, that did happen.
Carrie Fisher, yeah, with someone like that, they had her CGI'd in for the most recent Star Wars movies. If I don't like license the right to use her likeness, people can just use my dead family member's face and voice in whatever they want to use. If I don't have that, and stuff like that is kind of wild to me in regards to that. Like if just because I don't file paperwork to say, hey, don't put my grandma's face in your new movie, that means you can just do that, whatever. Granted, they could probably sue, and they'll more than likely win that case in regards to that if they didn't like approach them about that or like talk to them about it ahead of time. But I don't know. That I'd love to get somebody who handles a lot of that red tape and how those stuff goes when it comes to studios, just to kind of get more insight on it. Because from the outside looking in, it looks very it looks really nasty.
And that's the thing.
It looks
I think
really
it is like it's weird. Like I think Carrie Fisher. I don't know if her likeness for Leia. I guess it was her likeness as that character. I think was by 20th Century Fox and then Disney, I guess. And then of course, like for example, Christopher Reeve when he showed up in the Flashpoint movie, I believe his character, because he'd already passed obviously there too.
Yeah.
I believe his character as Superman was licensed by the studios that directed that film, so they could use him again. I believe for Warner Brothers. I believe so. So that's why it's a little bit different as opposed to just like a random person and having a likeness. It's that person as that character. That character is licensed by the studio, which also costs money or whatnot to do it. But in the first place,
Sure.
But again, that's what's so. That's all these things. Because this is dead on as far as like that's why people do love, or studios love having anime or animation, because you have a kind of a built-in IP to sell from. That's why Star Wars in the first place makes so much money, is because all the tie-ins that George had back in the day. Anime. I mean, think about One Piece. One Piece is bonkers. I was in Italy. Y'all know when I went to Italy. I'm sure right now I was in Tuscany. I was in Italy, and the amount of like One Piece toys I just saw on the street in friggin' Rome. I was like, why? And One Piece is okay. Don't get me wrong, I get it. But as you go further and further to the east, One Piece gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I know it's starting to catch on a bit more out here in the west, but as you get further and further to the east and into Europe and all the way up into Asia, it's a massive hit because of all the toys, all those things that tie into it. So it's you're right. You're 100% right.
In regards to that, are there any more? Because I kind of want to transition into the main topic, but if you guys have anything else you want to discuss on this point, let me know. But to continue the conversation about animation and a more recent adaptation, Terminator Zero was a series that was released relatively recently. We all watched. I think I finished it up on Friday, I believe. I don't know when. I think El said he watched it that weekend it came out, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 8-episode series. I think each episode is around 30-ish minutes, maybe 20, somewhere around that. So very compact. I will say, for general, let's go through general thoughts on how we felt about the series as a whole, and then we can get into the nitty gritty. Personally, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself with it. I thought it was a cool story. I will say it gave me a lot of reminiscence to something like Parasite the Maxim, in regards to a lot of the script writing and a lot of the themes that were around for it. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. It made me think a little bit and maybe kind of get more philosophical in my thought process while watching this. And the action was cool. It was not. I will say this, and I feel like the marketing and like the trailers made it seem like it was going to be more of an action show than what it was. There was action in it, but I felt like there was more dialogue than there was action in this series for me. How do y'all feel about it?
Yeah, I think that the show did suffer from some pacing and just engagement issues. There was a lot of dialogue, and some of it is, I mean, when they're speaking philosophically and talking about like human nature as a whole, I enjoy those discussions that they have. When they're going into a little bit more like description on Skynet and the semantics of the future world, that is a little bit harder to follow for someone that's never seen this Terminator series. I didn't have much of an issue following it, but I mean, I was watching it with my girlfriend who like knows nothing about it, so in her experience, like just having to stop and explain, okay, yeah, they developed this technology where you can send people back in time to here, and then they're going to do that, and it develops the timeline. Like getting into that, if you are not very familiar with that type of content, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to follow. It's also while trying to understand like how the timeline is shifted and what point in time that things are happening in, because I mean, part of the series does take place in the future. You do send them back to the 90s, where it's pretty much right after Terminator 2.
I don't think so.
That's what this.
I believe so. It was nine. No, this is like this is like way ahead of that.
It's 1997, right? Yeah,
97.
I don't
97,
know that
yeah,
this
97.
And they're saying this is when Skynet launches.
I don't know that this takes place. I think chronologically, as far as date-wise, 97. But I don't know that this is even in the same universe as like John Connor and Sarah and all them. I don't know if it is.
Yeah, I think the biggest explanation for that is something that it's one of the better ways I've seen shows handle time travel. They made it a point to kind of talk about that butterfly paradox, where once you go back in time, you're creating a new timeline. So the timeline you're in is different.
And that's what I
from
thought was the most
essentially
thing about it was, it's funny that you mentioned that your girlfriend noticed how they wanted to know the rules essentially of the world. And this show in and of itself basically was like, look, we have to establish our own rules. This isn't the rules of Terminator or other movies. You don't really have to have seen John Connor and Arnold in Terminator 2 to really understand, wait a minute, this is... Because this show itself is like self-contained with what it's doing, so to speak. But it is a lot. It is still a lot, though. So you feel like, what is happening now? Why are they sending Terminators back? It can be a lot kind of... The premise in and of itself can be a bit jarring to a newcomer. But the rules themselves are somewhat made clear. I enjoyed this show. Yeah, you're definitely right. It does have a lot of... There are parts where it's like, they spared... they clearly spent the least amount of money having like conversations, highly long philosophical conversations between like Malcolm and his AI program or whatnot, or like there was very like low rent on some of those things. It was like, okay, I'm about to fall asleep.
Yeah, after watching that episode of Invincible where they showed all the tricks on how to save money on animation,
bro,
it's very, very clear, very, very clear. But where it does shine, especially in the last couple episodes, where kind of all the other reveals come out, all the twists kind of unfold, and then ultimately too, what I thought was different about this, but I appreciate it because I actually do like the show as well. I love the idea that they're trying to say that it's not just the problem I had, because there's 6 Terminator movies, right, fam? 6 Terminator movies. I think it's
like 7. I thought
it's Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, Terminator 4, Terminator Salvation. Terminator 5, which is Terminator Genesis, and then Terminator Dark Fate. There may have been one other one that I missed, but...
Is that the newest one where you see old
Terminator
Arnold
Dark Fate is where Linda Hamilton comes back. So those six movies, right? I would argue that there are 2 great movies. You could maybe say 3 is okay. I kind of have a soft spot maybe for Salvation, just because I like actually seeing the future, but it's not good. It's like there's really 2 good movies, and then there's 4 other ones. That means a third of your franchise is good. That's not good, man. And they kept going to the same well as far as, like you said, Otis, trying to go over and over and over again to the exact same premise of sending someone back to save someone from the past. This show actually mixed it up quite a bit in a sense and did something fresh with it. And I really appreciated that about it. And I appreciate the idea that it still had the whole time paradox involved. It does still have there are other characters involved with the scenario, and it managed to surprise us at the end. And I'm doing right now in my class. Y'all know I teach. I'm doing right now talking about how to do plans and payoffs, but also how to do twists and how to do your denouement, how to make it count. This show actually managed to do that. So yeah, I give it some higher marks for that.
I will say this show is for a very particular type of nerd. I feel like, just from the way, because again, it gets very dialogue heavy, and there's a lot of conversation in human nature and philosophy and what humans are inherently into the earth and how we may be more good than we are bad and how we had the potential to grow, and then AI having the ability to have emotions and develop. For me, I can only speak for myself. This is kind of stuff I love to see this kind of stuff when it's done well, because it makes me think. I love to be made to question my own humanity a little bit into like, okay, would people do this? Or and maybe it's the sociologist in me and looking at how groups of humans think and operate with tribalism and all that good stuff. I thought it was done relatively well in this series. And again, it made me think a lot about Parasite the Maxim and how the aliens were discussing how, well, you're humans and you eat other inferior organisms. Why can't we eat you? And kind of answering those questions and seeing those interactions. But to y'all's point, I think there was a lot of pacing issues where they could have broken up a lot of that dialogue with something happening. There was like, I feel like the first like 2 to 3 episodes started off kind of action heavy, and then like the middle of the show was like super dialogue heavy, and then we kind of wrapped it up with action at the end. And even then, in between a lot of that action, there's a lot of sitting and waiting and letting people make decisions and explaining stuff as far as the payoff and twist go.
It had, I
feel like they should have chopped it up
more or
a
less.
little
It was like the direction. It was kind of, it had exposition dumps as opposed to kind of, like for example, speaking of Terminator, it's in the first movie when Kyle Reese is explaining the Terminators to Sarah Connor and the audience for the first time ever. Mm-hmm. It's during the middle of a chase, of a high-speed chase where Arnold's going after them, and it's only a couple minutes long. In this movie, there's a lot, like you said before, there's conversations, and a lot of it's just them talking to each other back and forth. They sometimes will accompany it by having like the screen turn a different color or a possibility of things, but it's like it's if you have that much, then that many expo dumps, and there's nothing to go along with it. It's a visual medium. So if we're just seeing this, we're gonna be like, wow, you got to give us a little bit more flavor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in my initial watch of it, I got bored several times. Some of that way that they delivered the exposition reminded me of Ghost
Exactly.
in the Shell,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
which was,
exactly.
I mean, a pretty, a well-received series, but that also had some major pacing issues in itself too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Exactly.
to be close to that format isn't always going to be the greatest. It has its allure, but you want to be like, again, like what made the Terminator 1 and 2 so great was the fact that you always felt like you were being like constantly pursued, and even like when you did have slower moments, it was like, after something dire had happened, like, they gave us climaxes, gave us a little bit of levity to, so it doesn't just feel like a thriller movie, but it still flowed. With this series, with it being so extended out from like, just not being a movie form to being a series form, they did not have a great flow of like, just making it feel immediate and dire. There wasn't a lot of sense of urgency throughout the series until you got to probably like the last episode or two. And without that feeling of like, alert, without that sense of urgency, it just made those exposition dumps feel even longer, because like, it's like you can just sit and talk about anything forever. You'll see the Terminator when you guys meet up at the right place at the right time to do the next thing.
That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, the Terminator didn't feel like an imminent threat. To your point, like that's the thing I loved about especially the second one. I think the second one is my favorite one. Arnold always felt like he was always coming, and there were positive needed. Even if there were moments where they were stopping for exposition or they were like resting for a minute, like he would either pull up on them during their sleep or interrupt their rest. Like he's always constantly in pursuit. He's a Terminator. He's not going to be stopped. And in this one, there were moments where like the Terminator was sent back, like Buddy was like stopping to do upgrades and figure all kinds of other stuff out. And I'm like, and you doing that and like not doing it on the fly, it gives like they should have time to take a whole night's rest. Like I think this whole thing happened over the course of like a week,
the biggest thing.
A couple days.
Real quick, all pause aside. The first one is the only one where Arnold's really chasing after them. I think that's what's beautiful about it. I believe that the whole movie takes place over the course of like 2 days, maybe. So it's only a one night's rest. But Charlie's saying though, it is very much, because the second one has the T-1000 chasing after them, and even though takes place over a couple more days, you still feel the presence of T-1000 or Robert Patrick wherever they go. Like, you never feel safe. It's similar to, if anyone here has played or heard of Resident Evil 2 remake, where you have the Mr. X coming after you all the time. That's kind of how it feels for them. And even in the first movie with Terminator 1, Arnold does kind of take some time here or there to fix himself up. But even then, while he's doing that, you see Kyle teaching teaching Sarah how to make bombs or how to watch out for him coming for you. They never feel at peace, even if he's not with them on top of them. They never feel at peace at all, and they do it really, really well. In this show, there's so much time where it's so much happens. It's 8 episodes. So it's kind of like, all right, we're kind of chilling here. There's a lot of downtime, almost, so to speak. When he does show up, though, it is badass. I do enjoy it, but it's still, the urgency is definitely deflated. Even when they actually do finally, spoiler alert, real brief spoiler alert, you do see Skynet launched essentially, and even then it's still like, okay, we're all right. It's a weird scenario they managed to do with this show. So it's the lack of urgency does hurt the show.
So let's shine a little bit of a magnifying glass on the Terminator himself. I don't know what model this was. I didn't remember seeing or hearing the exact model of this specific Terminator. But how did y'all feel about him in particular? Because he did some interesting things I don't recall seeing any other Terminator do in previous openings or iterations of it.
I mean, so it depends on what we're talking about him at. Like in the future, he was like a menace, right? Like
he was beast mode. There was no
putting down bodies after.
No,
is this the same one?
No,
I don't think this is the same Terminator.
You see him come off the assembly line later on.
Yeah, it's a different one.
No, yeah, right. No, so we're talking about him specifically, or like
I mean, you can talk about him.
The first one they show us the blonde hair one. That one is a raging monster.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a menace.
The last image we see of him, he has a Gatling gun or that big huge ballista pointed at a small woman and child. It's like, wow, this is not gonna go well. Old woman and things. Old woman and a child. It's like, okay, that's how he doesn't care about anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean the model that was in the past with them, he's the most docile single mission monster I've ever seen. Right? Like it's like, yeah, I'm gonna take my time getting we're gonna line this up, then get the shot there. We'll track this other thing that had nothing to do with my original mission whatsoever, because this is an unfamiliar ignorance signal that I can track. Which, I mean, it played into the story, so I mean, I'm not gonna take that too much of as a detractor. But he was downright friendly for a Terminator.
You gotta remember though.
Like,
so how? I mean, we gotta be careful with spoilers, I guess. But you gotta remember, his mission wasn't to kill everybody. It was a very specific mission to do a very specific thing. However, there were plenty of times where he still.
He was trying to stop Kokoro from being launched.
Well, the main thing was he was trying to, because they talked about it in the very beginning, that he was trying to capture the children to use against Malcolm to make him turn
he was
off
sent there by
Kokoro.
the person. Yeah. So that's why it's so
by
different.
Buddy, yeah. I think to O's point, I think this is one of the first. I think the only time I've seen a Terminator have a mission of capture versus
it's not kill.
terminate. And I think in doing that, it kind of, because you see him mow through cops in a building and then get to them, and he's he finally got to the point to where with the woman that came back, he crushed her hand, and I'm like, okay, finally, you're
but even you're done
playing around with it.
I can't kill you. I know when they can't kill you.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought to your point, I think he was less threatening once I found out that he wasn't trying to kill them, then I was like, all right, how do we make this work? And even because he did some cool things. I think one of my favorite things that he did was actually adapting his weaponry to that moment where he added the nail gun, essentially the crossbow nail gun to his wrist, and he took one of the other machines to kind of disguise himself to Kokoro. Even the voice imitator thing, which I think we've seen Arnold do that before, correct, in other Terminator stuff, where he had the voice mods. Yeah, but seeing that full array of versatility with the Terminator was kind of cool to see. But to your point, I don't think he seemed as threatening once I verbally heard them say, "Yeah, he's not trying to kill them; he's trying to capture the kids."
Like you said, it's the different modus opendi. He's not trying to. I mean, the thing is, though, like you said before too, he will mow down everyone else. Just not them. That cop scene or the police station scene, he kills off 20, 30. Yeah, it's a squad.
Mow through them.
Unalives the whole room.
But are you still a Terminator if your job mission is not to terminate?
That's
Hey, you sound like you were writing for this show, weren't
The
you?
maxim. Well, the thing is, like, in Terminator 2, right? Terminator 2, the most famous Terminator movie, Arnold doesn't kill a single person, famously. That's the whole point. Because his one mission, his only mission, is to protect and to listen to John. And John's like, no, don't kill anybody. So you see Arnold plugging people in the legs left and right, but he doesn't kill a single person. So technically, yeah, you can still be a Terminator as long as you don't kill people.
Yeah. Because I mean, yes, we've had Terminators that were working for the human side against, you know, the new super hyped up Super Terminator now that has this new set of abilities. First, of course, with the Terminator 2 with the liquid abilities. Terminator 3, I don't even remember what the gimmick about her was. And I mean, then you get all the way to Dark Fate, where, like, you know, the Terminator's now disguising himself as John.
That was 5. Yeah, 5 did.
John
Yeah,
Connor.
5
John
did
Connor.
kind of
That was 5?
program John Connor himself, and then Dark Fate. It was these movies are crazy. The Dark Fate, it was like a dude who could almost. It was a Terminator that could replicate himself. So it could be 2 of them at once, essentially. And
I think the most non-believable thing to me in this whole series was the aspect of Buddy said that Skynet made a pact with Malcolm Kenta. It was his name. Like, he made a pact with you to not. I'm like, if Skynet determined the human race as a whole to be more harmed than they were good, and we sought to eradicate you to help the Earth out, why would this AI program then find understanding to create a pact with you and allow you to work with you there?
How he got the truth.
That was the thing where I was like, I was like, I'm guessing they were trying to set up for a second season, which is part of the issues I had with Beetlejuice. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie yet, but I'm starting to have a little bit of irritation with series and movies where they make this movie with the intention of another movie. I'm like, bro, build a story out for your movie in itself as an individual thing and not just as a puzzle piece for the next movie or the trilogy. I mean, you can set up for future stuff, but like your entire plot shouldn't be set up for another movie. Because now I'm looking at like your movie's just not, or your series isn't as good to me.
Yeah, I heard there was something about that because it'd be Beetlejuice, then Beetlejuice. I haven't seen that one yet, but the even in my opinion though, even if this Terminator Zero series doesn't get a sequel, it does still feel like a story. Like I don't have to know how the hell Kenta managed to make a treaty with Skynet. It's just the same way back in the day, forever ago, when I watched Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. I didn't need to know how John managed to capture a Terminator and reprogram it to send it back. There were things that I was perfectly fine with 1 and 2 being what they were. So I'm not even looking for a sequel to this series. I don't think they have one planned or not. So I'm fine with that ambiguity. I don't have to know the answers. I don't want to know the answers.
I agree to a point. I think like in regards to like a Terminator being captured and reprogrammed, I think in the sense of believability, that's more believable than the literal main threat to this entire story making a pact with a human in the future. Like that, like goes against the entire plot. That is
the plot of this series. We see Malcolm doing that same thing with his own AI.
But yeah, he created that AI to specifically not imprint that on it so it could come to its own conclusion. And he was lucky that it came to that conclusion through all that dialogue and time spent in showing him examples of humanity. Skynet came on and said, fuck all y'all.
It's almost like in a way you can say
it's already made its mind up.
Like a child. Skynet was a child that had no parent. Over time, it could be, that's what it could be in a sense. It could have learned over time, wait a minute, this could be changed. Also, going with this show alone, I forgot her name. It's Cookery, whatever her name is that Malcolm makes. The entire time Skynet's up and running, doing this thing. It's years that pass. She's kind of keeping it at bay. She may be talking to it as well. So by the time Kenta grows up in this other timeline, it gets weird with the timelines. But in this timeline, once he grows up, it's that much more open or susceptible to trying to talk to a person, as opposed to what's originally. So that may be why it's willing to talk to somebody or work out a treaty or something. Again, I'm filling in gaps that may not even be there, but right. To answer what you're saying, do we need to have series or movies that are just nothing but a puzzle piece to set up other things? Not always. I mean, I'm gonna Beyond the Spider-Verse having some controversy now because some people are saying, oh my gosh, Beyond the Spider-Verse isn't coming out. The third Spider-Verse movie isn't going to happen. That movie, Spider-Verse 2, definitely leaves nothing but it's a big old gap for the third movie. But at the same time, I love it. I can't deny that I'm on board for it to happen. If movies aren't putting their actual energy into making a self-contained story, it can be frustrating. But I do think that sometimes there are exceptions to every rule. So that's where I fall on that line.
Maybe it's biased, but I feel like with that movie in particular, that movie as a Spider-Verse has a central theme and story that I feel like they set up and kept through that entire film, and then it's going to be continued, or there's going to be another line in the next one. Like the whole central theme of you not being a slave to your fate or to what you were meant to be, and you being able to change stuff in general. I feel like we got that story through that movie. I don't know. It could just be biased because I enjoy that character or that movie more, but at least in my own mind, like that makes more sense. It feels more of a self-contained story, or it has its own legs versus this in particular.
I guess what the thing is, though, is like, for me, the way ultimately, if this is the end of Terminator Zero, like there's no more story to go on, I'm cool. If there's no more Spider-Verse, I'm gonna be pissed. It's like, what? Think about this. No one will be satisfied if there's no Spider-Verse 3. No one will be satisfied with that.
I completely agree. I do think that this does a good job telling the story that it did. Like, I don't feel like that this is a cog to another piece. Did they leave breadcrumbs for potential future seasons to answer? Absolutely. But again, it's not like, like if there's no Terminator Zero season 2, like, I mean, we got the story of Kokoro. We knew, about this family that was dealing with time travel on both sides, with the past and the future. The dad's from the future, the son's in the future, sending us into the past. We got it. But do I need more of this?
No, yeah.
Not really.
I don't need it. I feel like I would be cool watching it. Like if it came out and it was like, oh, I'll get to it at some point. I like watching if I don't have anything to do. I'm not asking for another season. I have other shows or things I'd rather get another season out of. But I would watch it if it came out.
I would watch it. When I heard about this originally, I wasn't going to watch it at all. But then I heard good things about it for the most part. And also, I'm from the age, the era where we saw previous Terminator movies, and it was like a mockery the past couple of decades. Those movies have gone from bad to absolute worse. I mean, it's embarrassing. So
it got to like Fast and Furious territory, but it wasn't fun. Like Fast and Furious got really convoluted, but at least you're getting a fun action movie with like some random quippy jokes here and there. It felt like Terminator got very convoluted, but then it just took itself way too seriously as time went on.
So
I'm like, it's no redeeming quality. Sure. But last quick note before you start getting into like rankings and ratings and all that good stuff. Did you guys see in the credits or anywhere, did they ever confirm who that old woman from the future was? Did they confirm that being like Sarah Connor,
thought she was
who she was, or her significance?
I thought it was Rika.
Did you think this who it was?
The youngest daughter, the daughter.
Rika was what?
But to answer your question, no, they did not confirm it. But that makes more sense to me because Sarah Connor isn't. There's no reason for us to believe anything. This story has nothing to do with any of the Connors. It's not at all like John and Sarah. No, they don't matter. Arnold, no, they're not in this at all. Again, it's also set in Japan. Sarah and John are always set in America, so completely different world essentially.
Well, this probably does take place after that fact too. They mentioned in one of their episodes that they had sent people back over and over again, like multiple iterations back in the past to stop the past or whatever it may be.
But
so
my feeling was that with Rika because it's a conversation where there's a part in the series where Rika asks Aki or Ika, whatever his name is, directly. She asks her, she goes, "How do you know about this with time travel? How it works this way?" And there's a flashback to her, like it is almost a cut on form showing them like switching positions, and it's almost like she's telling her about it, and that gets a whole butterfly effect and everything else, kind of showing how you go back in the timeline. It's this way. It's kind of, and then Ika tells her the same thing. It's like kind of like I'm able to tell you this because you told me this when I was younger. Kind of that paradox, essentially closing the loop on itself.
Man, this is cool. I'm doing time travel, bro. If I didn't get another time travel plot in a show for the next
time
decade,
travel
I'd be happy.
dimension.
travel,
Multiverse.
Dimensional
That's the yeah.
anything
String
man.
string theory or the butterfly effect.
That
like,
is-
Oh God.
I'm
You gotta understand. That's become mainstream. Is like string theory, multiverse, time travel. That's what are we doing? What are we doing?
It's just such messy storytelling. Because we just sat here and like, well, this could work logistically, and like maybe it's this, or maybe the symbolism is this. I'm like, bro, can we tell a tight, concise
it's
story?
to a point where it was like I mean, and even in this story, it's like, okay, we got the woman sent from the past, to try to help improve the future. Cool. Then we got the Terminator. Okay, cool. This is what we're used to. This is the formula that we expect. Then we get into it and find out like, oh no, the person that he was coming to find in the first place is also from the future. And then you find out like not only was the Terminator sent from the future, it was like, nah, it's his son that he came here to
Sent him.
stop to get. It's like, wait. Stop. Okay, let's just
Bro,
leave it alone.
not only that, but then we find out the woman that was sent back is somehow the mother
Yes.
of the person that was
She's the
supposed to be
mother
stopped
of
by
the
the Terminator.
the first dude.
and all this
And
still
the
happens.
grandmother of all the
Still.
other ones.
And the nanny is also the
Another
nanny is
AI,
the
yeah.
mother of the AI
Yeah.
that's also
He made
from the
himself.
future that was in love with the father, but like she don't
Yeah, she
remember
really
that she's from the
looked at that.
future.
It's a lot. It's a lot of a lot. It's a lot of a lot. A lot of a lot.
Like when you sit and think about it for a minute, your brain is gonna be. And I think that's a lot of this series. Like, yeah, we're gonna make you think.
But that was
You make you
it's a
think too
famous
hard.
scene in
You
the
think
first
so
one
too
when
much.
she like Sarah's like when Sarah's sitting there, like if you stop thinking about this, it'll hurt your brain. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Because that's almost like James Cameron originally being like, look, I know this stuff is crazy, so don't think about it. I know I'm aware of it myself. Forget the paradoxes. Just enjoy the movie and go home. So it hurt you.
It's like what, like the amount of time loops that they created just by explaining who these people are to each other. You might as well just do a course on rocket science at that point. It's like, you know what, we're gonna follow particles. We're gonna build a particle collider from scratch.
If you can write this screenplay and have it make sense, you might as well get a Nobel Prize because you've done it. Because it is very. I think it's literally by the time we're watching this show, they have to have been on what the fourth or fifth timeline because there's so many of them who have gone back that many times essentially for them all to add up.
Because they confirm
Different
every time you
timeline.
go back, you're
Different
creating a new
timeline,
timeline.
So
I'm
I guess
like,
the first
my
one was when
boy.
Malcolm went back.
Yeah, my boy.
It's multiple versions of the same timeline. Because the Terminator is from a different timeline also. The first actual Terminator that Kenta made or pre-programmed to send there, that's in the timeline too. So it's like 5 timelines in one. That's something. It's something.
Yeah, and leave that shit in the past, bro. For the next 10 years, let's not have no multiverse theory, no time travel. Oh, please just stop
We'll
it.
see.
Stop it all, please. I'll give you interdimensional travel. We can do different dimensions. I can do that. A whole universe? No, let's not do that. Let's leave that shit alone. But let's go ahead and transition. Well, let's rate this first. Let's go ahead and give a rating for what do you guys want to give Terminator Zero?
On my first watch of it, I gave it a 6.5. In understanding, like, you know, how the end plays out, some of the earlier stuff was a little bit better set up, so I'll give it a 7.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like a 7. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for this. It's like, yeah, you know what, you did things well enough to not be trash, because it's not trash. It's not a trash series at all. To anyone watching this, like, I mean, we're not discouraging you from watching it at all. But like, is it like peak where I'm just like excited? Like, it's not a Blue-Eyed Samurai. It's not a, like, you know, X-Men 97 where I'm just like, you know, give me the next one immediately. It's like, you know what, you did it. I got it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's I would give it a 7 as well. It's at first, and when I watched the first couple episodes, that's when we decided to put it on the show. I was like, this is okay. It's not too great, but in animation at times is lacking. So I was like, hey, it's a 6.5. Having seen the entire series and sort of rewatching it again, like, oh, I see what they did. And as a big fan of the first 2 movies, and having spoken to Edward Furlong, John Connor, briefly about it, it's like, yeah, I am much more attuned to this stuff, and so I was like, okay, I got to give you some credit, man. I give it a 7.5 because it does the stuff it does well. It does really well, and clearly the people who made this put a lot of effort into it. They're not just fans of the movies, but they're a fan of the genre. They're a fan of time travel, and they want to explore expanding out that kind of idea. So I give it a 7.5.
I would personally give it a 7, but I feel like most people that watch this, it would probably be like a 5 to most people. Like I said, I feel like you need to be somebody that's watched certain type of anime or shows that are similar to this to enjoy it. If I'm somebody and I haven't watched anything like A Ghost in the Shell or a Parasite the Maxim, where these shows critique and look at human nature, and I'm just watching it for the first time, I may be like, what the fuck am I watching here?
That's the ironic thing. It's actually it's being received pretty well by people. Yeah, that's why I watched it, because I saw online people saying it's good. Yeah.
Interesting. Never mind then. I stand corrected. Let me shut the hell up. I'll give it a 7 then. I will give it a 7 for my own personal enjoyment. Again, I thought it was a solid series. I'd watch a second season if it came out, but if there's nothing else to follow this up, and it was just Netflix dumping off money.
Yeah. So
cool.
Real quick, it says it's got IMDb. It's at 7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is at 89%, and IGN is at 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And what they're saying basically is, if you've watched all the movies and you're a fan, definitely watch this. My basic impression, and what I'd say to fans, if you haven't seen any of the movies, this may be much for you. It may be a bit much for you, but overall, this should appeal to you as a sci-fi fan. So you're pretty much right.
So we're about spot on with the public perception then. All right, y'all. We are going to transition into some fun here. It's been a while since we've had a game on the show. But guys, I want to do a little quick game, and it's something we can maybe do more of in the future because it's not too difficult of a thing to set up. We're going to be doing some blind rankings here. And this particular blind ranking is going to be over anime characters, over popular anime characters. So the way this is going to work, they're going to be a rating of 5. You know, we've done our rankings and ratings on the channel before. But you will get 5 spots. You will not know at all who the character is going to be. So you have to be sure that you are taking your time and kind of thinking about this. If you get your all-time favorite character early, or maybe like a character you kind of like, you may not want to put them number 1, because then your favorite character's got to be number 5, if you don't put people in the right spots. So you may want to be more conservative, or you may just be outright, hey, I'll just put this person in 1 because I know this is my person. So this is going to be fun for me because I didn't hand create these either. I found a website that auto-generates these for us and kind of goes off of public people as well. So I myself am going to be random. So we're all going to be kind of doing this on our own accord here. So let me go ahead and pull this up. All right, we're starting off with Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. Where would you guys like to rank him? We can do a podcast consensus here.
So
where we
what's
want to
the
put him at?
4.
5. Wait.
Lowest is 5.
I see. Yeah, I put him at 5. Solid 5.
Mm-hmm. You put him at 5? Luce?
Yeah, 4. He's got some nice moments to him, but overall, I wouldn't put him high tier.
I'd probably agree with the 5. Y'all cool putting him 5?
Pokemon was more or less a little after mine.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it came up. I think it was like a little bit into it by the time I got to it, but even then, there wasn't a lot of longevity with it for me, at least, in regards to the actual anime. The IP I love, but the anime itself, not so much. Next up, Detective Conan.
Yeah,
Case closed. I don't know.
Oh,
I've never seen Case
Conan.
Closed.
I'm putting him like 2-3.
He's a solid
2-3.
3 for me.
Conan the Godwin? Yeah, especially in those first 50 episodes, man. Those first 50 is still.
I think like what next to One Piece has it's the longest running anime of all time or something.
Yeah, it's like I think it just hit that 1100 episode threshold.
Oh,
I don't think I've ever
it's
heard of Case
if
before.
you get a chance, if you're into detective series,
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It's a little more animated over the top, but it's still very much the cases do make sense. They do make sense. I'm gonna go ahead and say 3 for me.
And I'll go with y'all on 3 because I haven't seen this yet, so I'll take your word for it. Next up, we have Ichigo Kurosaki.
We already know what's going on here. We already know what time it is. I'm wasting my 5.
I'm cool with putting Ichigo 4 as a character himself. Again, you know I like Bleach and I have other characters.
Interesting. I thought you'd be a solid 1 for you.
4.
Yeah, I'm fine with 4.
No, dude, my favorite character is
Kenpachi.
Kenpachi, bro.
It's beyond.
Ichigo's like he's got some like aura to him, but like, I don't love him as a character at all. There's a lot of other characters I prefer.
Byakuya Kuchi.
Yeah, Byakuya. I fuck with oh my gosh, he
Chad? No.
Sabimaru's character. I can't
Renji.
remember. Renji, yeah, Renji
I'm not putting Renji over. Yeah, Renji Aburame. I'm not putting Renji over.
I fuck with Renji.
That's not
So what's
Chad's
where
cool
you
too.
putting
I
him
mean,
on?
hey, I just feel like he has more character to him than Ichigo does. This is me. Not in regards to like.
because he's Hispanic.
I mean, I didn't say any of that. I didn't say any of that.
That's his like
You talking about Chad or you talking about Renji?
Chad. Like that's his
Yeah.
individual character trait.
No, I said I put Renji over Ichigo, not Chad. I said Chad's cool, but like, I put
Chad,
Renji
but-
over Ichigo for me. I think he has more character to him. But yeah,
Sato
we
Yasuda for the
But
the
for-
Japanese
oh,
version.
word. Okay, I'm amazed. I'm amazed.
Ichigo's
yeah.
Oh,
Mob. Ooh,
interesting.
I think Mob.
Mom,
This
I'm
is
okay
tough.
with you.
because he
I'm
actually
okay with
is
putting him
a
at two.
legitimate
Yeah.
character. He's trying to. He literally, his whole point is him trying to better himself
Yeah.
despite his power. So yeah.
My fear is that he'll be the best
Oh,
one
because of whatever's
out
left.
of the next person. Like the next person
yeah,
we
because if
get.
they're, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so if we get
So that's have to be one.
Goku as the
Well, yeah,
next
that's
one,
fair.
it's
We
like, well, damn, we
yeah,
kind of screwed with him
that's
at one.
I mean, out of all these characters that they've named, he is my number one.
You'll
of
put him at
those,
one?
so I'm okay with
That's
having him
that's
at
the
one.
roll of the dice.
Got to see what
I'm
the
okay with that too.
unknown is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw him at one.
But personally, I would have had Conan
Yeah,
right
Conan's
there,
a good
the
dude,
two
man.
spot.
He's
You
basically
know,
Sherlock
with
Holmes as a
whoever.
kid. Yeah, we can say. So you want to put Mob at one? Just do it that way. Okay, I'll put Mob at one.
I'd put him up at one. I'd do it just to be safe. And then we get
Yeah.
Luffy.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's fine.
I'm fine to have Luffy as number
That's
one on
fine.
the list. 100%. Despite my name, it's not because I love
Luffy is too, yeah.
One Piece or that much. Yeah.
Like, realistically, if I'm putting Luffy on this list,
He'd be 3.
he's
I put Conan at 2.
I mean,
He'd be like right above Ichigo, so I'd probably put him at a
he's right
4.
below
Yeah,
Ichigo.
Luffy is a
Really?
just
I haven't watched a lot of One
he's
Piece. So I was
just
going
he's
off
a
like,
very, very old school shonen protagonist where he's just like basically we're gonna get some hate. We're
Believe
gonna
it.
get some serious hate for this. But he's like a not that multi-dimensional
Yeah.
character. He's not that responsible of a captain. He's just like a wild but
it's like Goku essentially.
It's like, oh,
Okay.
my moral compass is perfect, and that's the whole story.
Yeah, he's not.
I'm goofy.
Okay.
I'm not really smart, but I always do the right thing because
Yeah,
I'm
he's
moving.
very, very old school.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all wanna run back another one? Because this was
We
kind
can do
of
this a couple, yeah.
Yeah. Let's refresh then. What was it? Is this gonna be Ash again? Hold on, let me. Okay, yeah. So it just gave us Ash stuff for that. So we're starting off with Ken Kaneki.
Is he the
Tokyo
main?
Ghoul.
That's the main
Uh,
character.
Manga version or anime version? Yeah.
But he's the main character.
This is all anime.
If we're talking anime version, we could put
Yeah.
him around like. 4,
Wait.
5.
But season
Really?
1 though, because season 2 is terrible. I know. But season 1 though.
Yeah, season 2 is trash.
And then season 3.
I
I
put him
actually
at
like
three
the
for
season
me.
one.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm fine with
Yeah,
3.
I put him at 3.
I mean, by the end of season 1, he's goated. But after
That's what we're saying.
after that,
Let's
it's just
leave it at season 1.
Because to me, he's not really Ken
It's not
Kaneki
the
to
same
me
show
after
anymore
season
after
1.
season 1. So let's leave it just to
Yeah.
season 1. I see season 3. Season 1 point the 3 spots solid. I have no problem with that.
I'm cool with 3 too. You cool? You cool with 3, Lewis?
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, let's put it. All right,
Yeah.
season 3. We'll put him at 3. Kujo Totoro from JoJo. I never got to this
Joe,
far in
is that
JoJo.
you said it's Jotaro?
Jotaro. Oh,
Jotaro,
Kujo,
Kujo,
he's
yeah.
like
Oh,
his fan favorite. So
one.
he's the one. Yeah, the lead in the
One.
3rd season. No,
That's-
Damn, y'all want to go? Y'all want
He's
to jump
not
off the
my
boat?
favorite.
Put him at 1?
Josuke is my favorite, but he's goated. He's also kind of like the one that yeah. Put him at 2.
Josuke's
Put him
my
at 2.
number 2. Well, no,
Yeah.
Josuke's number 3 because I mean, Giorno.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
that's
you love-
number-
yeah, you love
that's,
the-
that's number 2.
I need to go back into JoJo's at some point. I've never
Don't
made it. I
you need
didn't
to
get
start off
past
just
season
watching
2.
season 3
You don't
Yeah, you
start.
don't have
Don't start at Stardust
Yeah.
Crusaders
because that's the
and
whole
just keep
basis
going
is
from
them
there.
using
Now,
the
everything
stands
before
and
that.
stuff. The Artist Crusaders. So we'll put him at we put him
That's
at
what season 3.
we putting him at
Yeah, that's like
Jotaro at
season
3
Okay.
or 2.
I'm
Put
on
at 2.
like
Okay,
2.
that makes sense.
1?
I put him at 2.
2. Okay. All right, I may have to start Critters tonight. Then I'll probably do that.
It's not
I'm
too
looking
long,
for
really.
a new show to watch.
Oh,
Inuyasha.
That's old school.
Wow. 17. How old is he? He's like
Wait, so
150?
this is
Put him
Sesshomaru
there.
in this picture right here. So I don't understand. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
what
Sesshomaru?
it says.
That's
Well, no,
his
it says
brother.
Inuyasha, but they
Oh,
put
that's
a
not
picture of
him. That's not
Sesshomaru
Inuyasha.
right here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it says Inuyasha from Inuyasha, so we'll just say it's
Okay.
Inuyasha, but they put the picture of Sesshomaru here.
Yeah. Give
We'll say-
whatever
we'll say it's
number
Inuyasha.
is, however old he is. I think he's like 150. That's the number.
No love lost.
Well,
You gotta
we'll put him
understand.
at- I'll
You
pull him
understand
at
for a
5.
bunch of folks,
I'm
this
cool
was
with
kind of
Inuyasha
their first
at 5.
isekai back when it came out on Cartoon Network on Adult Swim on Saturdays.
Bro, I watched so many episodes of this show at late night and can't tell you
Yeah.
a single thing about this fucking show outside
'Cause
of
most
the
of it's
original.
Kind of
filler.
the whole point is for
Most
what
of it's
Sit Boy.
filler.
That was all she used to say over and over again. I like that dude. There was that dude who used to have that hand. He would open up the hand, kind of suck stuff in. But the
Yeah,
monk.
Roku?
the monk.
The one that asks everyone to have his shit. He was basically
Nick
Feudal
Cannon.
Japan Brock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, never
Yeah,
mind.
the PG-13 version of Brock. Yeah, he's a pervert. So you saying what 5? Put him at 5? Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
fine with
that's
that.
Yeah, I'm cool with him being at 5. We found the mouse. All right. Jesus. Light Yagami. Ooh, y'all don't like him at the 1?
Yeah, 1. That's I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
I'd like Light
It's
at
either
1,
1 or
I'm not
4.
gonna lie to
I'm not
you.
gonna put him at 4. So yeah.
Right. I'm not putting him
Nah, fuck
below
that noise. Yeah, so, yeah, put
Ken
him at
Kaneki or Jotaro. All right,
Am I
like
putting
him.
Jotaro
But,
above Light? I might personally.
who's-
Gintaki.
I
I
haven't
seen
seen
Gintama.
Gintama.
so I don't know.
I will put Gintoki above Inuyasha.
Is that
but
the main
he's
character
okay
in
for it.
Gintama?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Okay, I haven't seen Gintama.
Yeah,
Yeah, Gintaki
He's with
Sakata.
my hair,
Sakata. I think I'm saying it right.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I need to
I haven't
watch
seen
that.
Gintama, so I don't.
I can't get past
Really?
8 episode of it.
If you didn't get past 8
oh my
episodes,
God.
that's saying a lot.
It's painful.
That's saying a lot. Okay.
Oh man. Okay, so let's go ahead. We can run one more back because we're one more
yeah,
still
okay.
before we hit an hour.
So
Goku!
here's the thing. Where
Son
we
Goku!
where are we gonna
Son
put him for real,
Wukong.
fam? Where are we gonna put him for? We have to acknowledge his influence. We have to
I'm
acknowledge
cool
who he
with-
is.
I'm cool with Goku as a character being at 4 for me.
I was gonna
I'm
say
okay with
he's
like
kind
a
of
3.
he is the landmark character in all of the shonen. He is, and out of respect for Toriyama.
I mean, he's the reason why we got Naruto. We got the big 3 because
Yeah,
of
he
Naruto,
is.
Goku. So
You can't deny what he
can't
is.
deny the influence
I mean,
there.
also a vast majority of people work out to this day
I'm cool with
still
her.
because of
I'm cool with
Goku.
it. Yeah, all my best friends is like that. You know, seen the amount of people, swole nerds I know wearing nothing but fucking
Yes,
turtle
it is.
school shirts.
At my
in
gym
the
here
gym.
at my gym here in LA, I saw this banging ass girl wearing a turtle shirt. I was like, wow.
Yeah, and shout out to the homie Black Boma. I can't trash Goku too heavy. I mean, we know he's got his
She'll come for
flaws,
you.
but he's not bad.
3,
He's
yeah,
not
3 is about.
Yeah, I'm cool with 3. I'm cool with 3.
In the middle.
We got this.
I-
bad. Vegeta.
Yeah.
See now you see this is
Of
the
course,
issue
yeah,
because now you have to put him above Goku.
We're starting another debate. We should start a debate here on this. Well done, Charlie. You made a debate on this.
Hey,
It's either 2 or 1. It's a let me pay. If we don't put him at 1, then lots of hate. We get 2. People are like, we're talking about he's the greatest character of all time. At least 2. At least 2. That's not a question.
oh yeah, so
so-
he's got to go too. He's got to go. He can't go below Goku. Sailor Moon. This is so funny.
yeah,
They're just trolling us right
Just like this is just like,
I haven't seen Sailor
but
Moon
you
either.
know
y'all,
of
so
her.
don't
Pretty
come
much
to me.
whatever
I
you
don't
know of her
I'm going off
in
Odyssey.
passing is her. There's not a lot more.
It's I know her relation to Dragon Ball characters pretty much.
I mean, very powerful character, but like,
Yeah, I'm not
man,
a
is she annoying
fan
to
of
me.
her.
I'm not gonna hold you. That's a 5. That's a 5.
All right,
Yes,
we'll
hate
dump
for
her
that too. I
spot.
promise.
Urza Scarlet, hey,
Hey,
throw her
you
number
got
1, boy. Throw my girl Urza in number 1.
How many episodes does one Fairy Tail have?
It's,
I
yeah, I
don't
know.
know.
See, that's the thing.
That's my number.
We can't put it at 1. Come on, we can't, above for no. We're not.
Urza is one of the
We're not
more
playing
brighter
above
spots in the
Vegeta.
show. She's one of the better characters in the show.
She's just there to like do things until Naruto can show up and
This is
actually
not-
fix the problem.
This list. The problem is,
She's there.
I'm cool.
She's Genos.
I love
of-
Genos
of
of
Fairy
One
Tail.
Punch. I love Genos though.
Pretty much, she's pretty much Genos. But she has cooler. Like her abilities are pretty solid to me. I like her designs.
The thing is,
yeah, I'm cool with her
we
being
didn't
up
know
there.
what's coming up next, so we can't place it.
I do put her above Usagi though. I wanted on that. Usagi's on that.
No, it's
what
just
were you
because
saying,
of this, we
E?
don't know. It's like we were given all of them and kind of mix and match. They come out one at a time, so it kind of throws us off. So sometimes this list can seem very skewed and weird. But
That was because in my mind, like once I put a character somewhere, I can't put a character that's not
Yeah, no,
better
they
than
know.
them
That's-
above them. That's why I was like with Goku, I wanted to be kind of reserved where I put Goku because if we got some bangers right after Goku,
right,
it was gonna be tough. Granted, I think
I
3 was like
agree.
perfect spot
Yeah,
for him. I think 3 was a good spot
That's
for him.
fine. It's fun. It's still fun, regardless.
So
Yeah. No,
that's
no,
the-
you put that one.
Watch us get like Natsu for number 1.
Okay, 4. Okay, yeah.
No, I said
Above
put her
Vegeta,
at 4,
that's
my
crazy.
bad.
So whoever's left now is
Four,
above
4.
Vegeta. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be a weird.
Yeah, like we have no choice.
Okay, I'm
Got
not here.
going.
Okay,
That's-
that
I mean,
works.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yes,
That's fine.
That's
Well,
a
and
good
we're
list. That's a
on the
solid
list.
list.
that what happened?
Yeah, that were, honestly, this is the smoothest ranking, like blonde ranking I've ever seen. It's worked out pretty
Make some
pretty
flack
smooth.
for
I'm
us
not
saying
gonna
we're at the
lie.
bottom, but I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I wish you could have a segment where it's all female characters because I mean, there's a lot of dope
course.
women in anime, but we just didn't get them on the list.
Yeah, they have a bunch, like on this website in particular, they have a bunch of ones. I looked for one that I could make a custom one on, but I couldn't find one, so we just had to do it ourselves, but we just won't have the UI for it. They have one for sports, video games. Like, I'll bring this back for the channel a couple times. That's celebrities, food, internet stuff, so there's like
That'd be
a
fun.
lot of blind rankings we can do.
For October,
Yeah,
can you
that'll
set
be a
up
fun
one
one.
for us to do, like with the monsters or Final Girls or something?
They should have one. I'll look through to see if they have one for horror
gotta be
specifically, because you know people don't be giving horror proper respect. So we'll see, or we'll just do that ourselves. One.
Yeah.
Or I think Editor Cito will probably help us out with that worst case scenario. But yeah, guys, this has been the show. For future news and endeavors, let's go ahead and get off the plugs you want to plug for things. Lelouch, I know there's a bunch of blurred stuff coming up that you like to plug and discuss. The people that are waiting for it.
Make sure that you are joining the Blurred Discord. We're trying to get that community going. Organizing some community game nights in there, as well as some D&D like sessions for a game that we're calling Infinite Exodus. Partnered with a good friend of mine, Christopher Bloom. We're about 3 weeks into those, and we're going to be getting ready to start a fresh campaign in about 2 weeks. So if you want to join in for this one that's wrapping up, or get in for the new one, come join us in there. Check out the Blurred Cartel Roundtable. We're going to have a Family Feud-like game on there the next 2 Wednesdays with some of the Blurred crew popping in there. So we're going to look out for that. And yeah, go to blur.com, look at check out the blogs, get you some merchandise, you know what I'm saying? And if you're in Atlanta, see you at Revolt World on the 19th.
Yeah, right on.
Professor E?
Was I saying something? Oh, just keep an eye out for everything that we're doing here on the Now Podcast, because we have a lot of fun things coming up. If you are interested in actually getting an education in how to make your own comic book, please hit up our website at echelongnovels.com. We'll help you out. We'll help you create your own book. We'll help you as far as if you want just a few tips on how to do it for a very minimal price. We'll do that too. If you're looking for your own merch, your own comics, things of that nature, we'll help you with that as well. If you're looking to get an image done of you, or maybe you and your family members drawn like Goku and Vegeta, we can do that as well. So yeah, and we have a great book coming out. Otis did mention it. The issue number 2 of Briarlands it's done. The book is done. There is literally nothing left for us to do. It's just a matter of whenever they want to have it released to the public.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. I'm excited to read that, especially after reading the first one. I want to see more of that story. And in regards to the aspect of creation with Echelon, I can be in a personal not investor. That's the word I'm looking for there. A participant. Oh yeah. We're part of the Echelon G Novels. I'm an alum now at this point with one book I helped make over there. So I can personally attest to how great Ethan and his team are with helping people get together and making their stories. For me, and for then and now, October. Yeah, I know this is my month to shine. Horror is that's my bag, and we coming into the Halloween month. So you can expect a lot of horror themed content here at the Then and Now podcast. content pieces I'd like to record. I call it Popcorn Chronicles on my channel, but we can watch along or something of the sort. You guys will see on this channel. We just got to find a movie we'd like to do and get the right editor, see if our editor can put that together for us, as well as just more discussion around the genre and characters within it. For me in particular, you can expect a lot of the similar stuff over at the Captain Diesel's Dojo. I know in particular I'll be doing a 5 week, probably 4 to 5 weeks of reviewing a random Shudder original movie on their website. Again, if you are a avid horror fan and want to find more horror movies that's just beyond the scope of HBO or any of the main streaming services, Shudder has a lot of dope stuff. They are like the horror streaming app. I think it's like $7 a month for them as well. And they have a bunch of dope original movies, and they have some really good movies on there, like Late Night with the Devil. Talk to Me, I believe, is on there as well. And they have some original stuff that I'm going to be reviewing, kind of watching along with everybody, with some of my friends that do some horror stuff. Also, I don't know if I told you guys about this yet, but they are releasing on the 27th of this month a new Hellboy movie.
It's the
will be
27th,
releasing
okay.
exclusively to the UK and over there. So I have a colleague of mine that will be doing me the pleasure of acquiring that film from me, allegedly. So I'll be doing a watch along and a review of that movie on the 27th, and that'll probably come out in October. So if you guys want to see if that movie's any good, I'll be doing myself the torture or possible joy of watching that movie and giving some thoughts on it.
Wait, so what's your wager? What's your Otis?
10.
2 out of 10.
This is gonna be a 2 out of 10.
This one looks, because I haven't read that. This one's directly based off of an arc. Yeah, right. The Crooked Man. An arc in the comic books. And most of the fans who read that arc in the comics, like, yo, this is a great story. It looks very, very close to that. So I would say, I know I lost badly the last time we had a wager about the Matrix. I got shellacked painfully. It was the worst thing I've done in my life.
Whew.
But if you're saying 2 out of 10, I will at least say, where should I go, Charlie? 6.5? I say 5.
I say 5, bro. The trailers seem interesting. The trailers started off pretty solid.
They do at least what the people involved want to do.
Yeah, I'm
this.
hoping
They
it's a 5.
enjoy it. I'm gonna say at least 5. Then, Otis, at least 5. That's our wager.
You gotta, I mean, if I'm going bare minimum, you got to go higher. Like you got to go like 7.
That's asking a lot.
7 is insane.
That's
7 is above average.
That's
Is crazy.
7 is good.
That's crazy.
I feel like 7.
So you're saying
is
so you
average. Like good is getting
On a scale of
like,
1 to
but-
10,
so-
5 is literally average, right? It's like
Yeah, but I mean, 5. Like if
gross.
I'm rating something as
All
a
right, so
5,
here's the deal.
it's
Then
pretty
here's the
bad to
thing.
me.
So it has to be, in order for either one of us to win, then it has to be trash. Like trash is for you to win too. If it has to be good for me to win.
Right.
It's a 7. Okay, that's fair. I agree. That's fair. That's fair. Now terms. Yeah, we putting on.
What y'all putting on the line? We putting push-ups. We putting
What are we doing on
a
here?
gaming theory. What are we doing?
How about food? As opposed to winner gets what they want, loser doesn't get what they want. So loser has to eat on camera, on the show, something they don't want.
Oh, make him eat potato salad.
Is that
Make that thing Otis eat some potato salad.
or maybe as a
Yeah, no.
Hey, you lose. Hey, it's got to be something you don't like, nigga.
I don't think you're sick. I don't think
Yeah,
you're sick.
you're trying to
I don't
make
think
me.
you're sick. Maybe as opposed to like making you nauseous, it's like hot wings. Wings are very, very hot or something like that, like a spicy.
Oh, know what? I wanted to do this as a video on the channel at some
chip?
point anyway.
Yeah, something like
the
that.
Chip,
Okay.
the one chip
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
Would you be down to do that? Would y'all be down to do that?
I'll be down for
I'll
the
be
chip
down for
challenge.
chip challenge.
Bet. We have to make you eat a chip and then start
Is
an
it the
episode.
whole
We have
chip,
to
or is it
film
just
the
like
whole
part of
episode
a
like
bite or
that.
something of the chip? It's one.
It's
whole
one
chip.
chip.
Okay.
Like the chip challenge, you eating the
Okay.
one chip.
All right.
It's one whole chip. So we'll get the chip and make him eat it at the start of an episode.
He
and just go
said
through
make
the
it
whole show with him eating it.
whoever loses the wager, not just Otis. Whoever loses the wager, yeah, okay, that's
Whoever loses, well, hey, he may again. His eyes are kind of skewed in his
If
favor.
it-
I'm not gonna lie. So it may be.
if it,
you. It may
what
be
we're saying
you.
ultimately is if the movie's bad, I lose. If the movie's good, he loses. The actual specific points don't really matter.
Right.
They really matter. The last one with David Harbour.
Once I get it all,
that would he would have won. He would have won.
yeah,
So it's-
that made me sad.
That was
made me
terrible.
sad.
So
That
it's
made me sad.
as long as it's bad. If it's mediocre in the middle where you are, Charlie, it's fine. It doesn't. It's not that it's win or lose. Kind of like whatever. If we all agree it's bad, Otis wins. If we all agree it's good, I win. Yeah, we'll do the
We'll knock out the one chip challenge. You know, at some point too, what I love to do. I love to do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hot ones thing. because they actually have like the sauces, the assortment of them you can get in stores now.
You can actually order them at
like
too,
Walmart.
or the
I want to buy that at some point.
I mean, I think, well, now this is going fully tangential, and Tito, if you want to cut this off, I'm not going to be mad at you. I think that would be something we should do in general. Like, watch a trailer of something. All right, wager. Is it going to be good, bad, in between?
I agree with
down
that.
for
We
it.
watch a trailer first, and then we say, okay, what do you think it's going to be in a few months? Will it be good or bad? Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Matter of fact, there's probably some horror movies coming up pretty soon besides the Hellboy that'd be worth us doing that with.
Honestly, there's one out now with the McAvoy one that I'm gonna go see. I meant to see that shit tonight. What time is it? I'm gonna go see if they got it showing right now.
But is it
it's called Speak No Evil.
Like, so again, like,
I don't know.
Phonetically,
I was just fucking with
it says McAvoy. I can get that. But if he says
He does. I was
just
proven
trolling. We had
last
this conversation a
episode.
while
I
ago.
showed you an episode of him saying.
Yeah, I know. I was fucking with Ethan.
Did you show it to was it Kaori that said that was okay.
Kaori, yeah, she was like,
he
wow.
said his name. McCabe.
She was all flustered. Hey, I never bet against the rocket scientist, so I was just like,
Is she literally a rocket? She's literally a rocket scientist.
Actually, she's going to school
Physics,
for
yeah,
like
she's
not
physics.
rocket. Well, it's
She's
physics.
smart.
She's getting her doctorate
She's
in
smart.
physics and marine biology.
I'm not at all saying Kaori isn't smart. We all know she is smart, but
Yeah, I don't doubt Kaori's intelligence. Her taste in series and movies.
that is something you got to watch out for.
It's a question.
It's a
Hey,
weird brain.
we'll talk.
I mean, I know some real smart people that just.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. Anyway, y'all, this has been the Then and Out podcast. I have been your co-host, Captain Diesel. I have with me Professor E, King of the Comics, and the Big Black Muffin. And we'll see you guys
If
next time.
if Cito doesn't cut this out and Kaori does hear this, it may be even weirder for us.
No, I'll tell it to her. I have no problem with that.